See, he's trying to take him into a trapping area. Villanova spreading the court. They're starting a little double stack.
Well, Burrell playing both ends of the floor. He also has all 5 of UConn's rebounds.
They have a number of sets that they run, Villanova. Very well drilled offensively. Rolly Massimino has numerous sets to try and counteract the defensive alignment. He really wants to try to get Tom Grice isolated inside where they can't give help on him.
Mark Dowdell, you saw just moments ago, clock into the game, replacing Rodney Taylor, who'll get a brief blow. Dowdell brings some extra offense to the Villanova arsenal.
He's a good offensive rebounder. See, they're going to try to take help away.
Cerulic's got a body on him on the backside. Down in the paint area, and the clock's running out. It did.
Excellent defense by Connecticut. They did a great job shutting off what Villanova calls their zero set. I watched them run that in practice where they call it a zero set, trying to eliminate any kind of help on Tom Grice.
John Moreau giving the signal, and that's something you see rarely in college basketball, but if it does happen, it could be in a Villanova game.
Right now, Villanova's got to like the tempo of this game. It's not up and down the floor.
It is a half-court game. Smith, Tate George, the high-flying guard with a rainbow that drops through. Oh, basket interference will be called. Cerulic, and you know, Dick, I believe this is a case where the ball would have gone down even had Cerulic not touched it.
Jim Howell right on the call. Excellent call. Cannot play with the ball up on the cylinder. No doubt about it. Excellent call by Jim Howell.
It would have fallen without the help.
George gives him an extra dimension at the backcourt position. He gives him an extra rebounder. He's got great size. Woodard. He can shoot it.
Oh, the southpaw knocks it home. Greg Woodard, he has 5.
They got to try to get him free a little bit more. He's got great touch, excellent release. Oh, good head fake.
Yep, and picked up his feet.
He lifted the pivot foot.
It's amazing in the tendencies that we see in the Big East. Tom Grice is a player that has always played well against Connecticut. Now watch this, the defense by Cerulic.
See, he's playing from behind him right now. They want to throw the ball up and down. Now he's trying to deny him the ball. Now he's going to front him. He says, I'm going to beat you to the spot. Now he's going to beat him to the spot. Ball you, man. Excellent job by Cerulic defensively.
As we come back live, Miller counted and the foul. It's a block.
Miller gives him some quickness on the floor. Came out of Bridgewater West High School, led him to a state championship. His brother David's out with a problem with his leg.
Yeah, and they lost Masadi, the backup guard also. The Villanova has some problems if, in fact, Walker gets into foul difficulty. And you see the points off turnovers, it's Villanova. Oh, they're the pickpocket guys tonight, not the steel curtain defense of Connecticut.
Well, that steel curtain that was displayed today in the Hartford newspaper. Kenny Davis did a great job, the writer, pointing out all their turnovers they create. But remember, Tim, they have not played against super competition.
Burrell for 3. Taylor and Miller combine to get that rebound. Nice pass from Dowdell, and another one from Bird to Taylor, and he traveled with it as well.
They have Taylor lifting his pivot foot. Very impressive right there with Villanova's offense.
Yeah.
They had excellent spacing, which they concentrated on today at their shoot-around.
Good passing. Very crisp.
1-3-1. Walker trying to take him into a trap. Best way to beat it is with a 2-1-2 set. A guy at the high post, 2 guys on a baseline. Connecticut's got to get the ball in Chris Smith's hands. He's got to get some shots.
NFL spots up for 3. Knocked out of there, and Walker releases.
Walker's a competitor, big-time scorer out in Houston, Texas.
Connecticut has John Gwynn on the floor. He's checking Lance Miller right now.
John Gwynn usually makes things happen.
Now he switches over to Bird. And now Miller drives over Burrell. And Villanova was out of bounds.
Burrell loves to block shots. He has excellent timing. I think we're seeing the makings of a future good basketball team here at Connecticut. A lot of good young players.
Greg Woodard coming back into the game, and Calvin Bird to sit down. Aaron Bain also checking back into the game. 16-8 Villanova, 12:40 remaining opening half. Tim Brando, Dick Vitale, Big East action in December. First Big East game of the year for both clubs.
Not only a +8 tempo, definitely the way that Villanova wants it.
NFL. Won't get the roll. Miller clears it for Villanova.
Miller plays some point as well as the second guard slot.
Dowdell with a great lob to Taylor, and it forces the foul.
He had the great angle. Taylor recognizes it. He acknowledges his teammate, points to him, says, nice pass, Mark. They had a great angle. Look at Taylor holding off, and there's the look down inside. Good 45-degree angle. Dump it down to Taylor. Big, strong, and tough.
Hinnefeld got the foul. Jim Calhoun looking on. You see Taylor's numbers. The rebound statistic is what's important with him. He's got to help Tom Grice.
Villanova had all those great expectations last year. A young team, they lose Doug West now playing in the NBA. Kenny Wilson, you know what he's doing? He's playing with the Washington Generals. He goes all over playing against the Globetrotters. He said he's never lost so much in his life.
Burrell for three. Again, Taylor with good position, boxing out Nadav Hinnefeld.
That was an excellent rebound. Squared his body.
Dowdell with Burrell on his hip. Softly off the baseline.
Dowdell with a great pass from Bain. Threw it right to the open hand, to the baseline hand, to take the defensive play out of it. Any possibility of deflecting that ball.
Villanova has their lead back out to 11. A 9-0 run, Dick.
And they're playing aggressive defensively out of their zone, really trying to match up.
Out of bounds. And Villanova gets it back.
That's the one negative, Tim, that Connecticut has to prove they can handle the half-court offensive sets. This is going to be the excellent pass by Bain right here. Freeze it. See that right there now? He takes the great look. Now watch him drive the bounce pass to the baseline side. Makes it impossible for Burrell to play Dowdell. Now look at this. Guys that have left Connecticut. Bagley, Jaminski, Pannone, Smith, and Presley. That's only the beginning. What about Wes Matthews, who went out of Wisconsin, Rod Foster to UCLA? But now they're staying home. The last 3 years, they've been wrapping up all the best players in the state of Connecticut.
Yeah, you got to stay in the nutmeg if you want to play for Jim Calhoun.
Oh, nice looking.
Oh, and Dowdell already, his presence being felt on the floor on the offensive end.
I really believe it's the presence of Villanova at their practice session today, because they are executing everything we saw them do today at their shoot-around.
21-8, a 13-point lead, and Villanova shooting at a great clip now from the floor. 64%, look at that. And Connecticut, remember, of those, 4 have been from three-point range, and they're an 0 for right now. So Connecticut, those guards must shoot well in order for them to be effective.
Hey, we look at that percentage. It's reminiscent of back in 1985 down in Lexington, Kentucky, when they won the national championship. Every possession they almost made count against Georgetown.
78% second half of that game. Taylor lost it out of bounds, and it will be controlled to Connecticut. Tate George coming back into the game. He's the quarterback, co-captain of this club along with Steve Peichel, and he means a lot to this team quarterbacking the club.
Rolly Massimino could not have designed a better game plan and his score early in this game for his basketball team in trying to set tempo.
He has effectively turned it into a half-court game these first 9 minutes.
Here's the matchup zone.
Smith, Cerulik again being blocked out, and he may have picked up a foul. Yeah, Taylor again in position along with Dowdell, and they clearly are simply boxing out the Huskies.
Connecticut's going to really have to have some trifectors by Smith and Burrell if they're going to get back in the basketball game here at halftime.
5th team foul against Connecticut. First on Cerulik.
Look at the spacing. Guy post in the middle. Look diagonal.
Hinnefeld got a hand on that one. Out of bounds. Jim Burr and Jim Howell confer, and it will be controlled to Villanova, it appears.
Jim Calhoun signaling he wants some motion offensively.
Bain is in trouble. Yep.
Violation.
Too much body lean for the freshman from Clifton, Virginia.
I think Calhoun was signaling that if they got the ball, he wanted them to get into some motion offensively. Been a little too stationary on the offensive end.
Crowd has been quiet, and they're trying to pick up their team now.
There's the 2-1-2 set. Spread out of top.
Hinnefeld finds Cerulik. Well, he has to play better than he's been playing thus far. Nice pass inside to Sellers. Boy, there's a lid on it for Connecticut right now.
It's amazing. Jim Calhoun's got them all in the right place, the right position. He's concerned right now that they're not following through on their shots and they're hesitating. But he's done what in putting the puzzle together and attacking the defense. Here's the kid that's got to make it happen. He can shoot the trifecta, Burrell.
Connecticut has missed their last 9 shots, and Lyman DePriest also coming into the game. Nadav Hennefeld going to the bench for the moment. And this is Connecticut's first trip to the free throw line. Rod Sellers getting there.
Well, Sellers going to get a lot more playing time this year, especially with Cliff Robinson right now in the NBA doing a solid job for the Portland Trailblazers.
It's amazing too, Dick. He was not a big game player at the collegiate level, but the pro scouts loved him because he really did have an outside game. That hurt him in the Big East, though.
You look at the rookies, the 2 rookies that are shining in the NBA. Sherman Douglas is playing well, and also Cliff Robinson, and neither guy was a high draft choice. They were second rounders.
Villanova with a 12-point lead, just over 10 minutes remaining in the opening half.
Oh, a nice pass by Grice.
Bain, not close with that one. Tate George looks for the break, can't find it. Again, Villanova quickly getting back on defense.
Connecticut needs a big play to give them a spark.
George can't find it again. Aaron Bain clears it. It's an 0 for 10 from the floor for Connecticut in the last 5 minutes. They are ice cold. Grice turned it over.
Grice attracts a lot of attention when the ball goes into him. He has to be alert immediately for the open man.
For 10, Connecticut, and you see 0 for 7 from three-point range.
Villanova rotates out of the matchup and now gives him a look at man-to-man.
Farrell had it knocked away by Woodard, so Connecticut holds on.
You could really never get into a rhythm against Rolly Massimino's team. He's constantly changing defenses, and they're usually very effective defenses. See, now he's back into the zone.
George with the bounce pass, and it's stolen again.
A deflected pass.
Woodard is free. Knocked away by Burrell.
What an athletic move by Scotty Burrell. Now, see, they're going to make something happen with this. Get the crowd into it.
A transition hoop is what they need, and they still can't find it. Grice with the outlet to Walker. Chris Walker connects.
Villanova in transition. Walker demonstrates his ability to score.
23-9, the largest lead of the game. Connecticut now 0 for their last 12 from the floor.
And they're out of sync right now on the offensive end. Very lethargic, waiting for somebody to pick them up.
George, and he hits it just inside the three-point line, counted for the deuce.
Well, he's the senior, he's the leader.
Well, we got an indication in the Maryland game, Dick, that they are a perimeter team. We're finding out tonight that their half-court offense is a problem.
Well, that's their big question mark, and Jimmy Calhoun was concerned about that before the game, talking to him. He said, we've been able to blow people away, and now we have to find out what to play some half-court.
Grice in the paint.
He gets the ball in deep. He's got great touch and great size, and that's why he'll make an NBA roster.
That's his first hoop of the game, and it's 25-11.
When you think about Randy Brewer and Danny Shays and all those big trees that came out of college, they weren't any more skilled than what Grice is. So if he works on his body, he has a chance to make someone's roster.
George picked up the dribble. Almost the 5-second count, but Dowdell picks up the foul, reaching in. Rolly Massimino quickly clapping his hands. He'll take a foul like that. He just wants to see more defensive intensity.
He wants to see aggressive play. He really believes that they are not playing as aggressive this year as he would like to see.
Rodney Taylor has come back into the game. Dowdell with his second foul, 4th team foul against Villanova. George trying to pierce through that zone, picks up the foul from Lance Miller.
You got to really read the defensive alignment with their zone. They try to match up and play a man in a specific area of the floor. Massimino's a master at that, having him communicate. It's very important, I think, that you try to overload against it and really get some movement against their defense.
Hogs are loaded. I caught them earlier in the year against South Alabama.
They got a great tandem when you talk Todd Day and Mayberry and playing at home. Oh, Norman, it's going to get mighty tough down here for the Missouri Tigers. The Atlantic 10. Providence just lost to Rhode Island. And also, when you talk about it, they were really proud of their win with West Virginia beating Pittsburgh. So the Atlantic 10, 2 over the Big East last week.
That's a much better league. It's improving every year. The Priest nearly lost it. John Gwynn operating now at the point as Tate George moves over.
John Gwynn usually gives them an offensive spark.
Nice entry pass to Sellers, but he can't find it on the baseline. And here come the Wildcats, already leading by 14.
Miller, really a very active athlete, good rebounder. Grice was wide open. He could shoot it from there.
This time, Connecticut has a chance to run off the missed shot. But look at Villanova's defense get back. Great pass. And the foul against Miller.
They need a big play. Don't you almost sense the fact that they need the big slam, jam, bam, or a trifecta, or a transition layup, something to get them going. There's the interior pass now. Look at the dump down inside by Burrell. Good look to his teammate Sellers. Burrell's got the complete package, Tim.
He really does.
He's got inside play, he's got perimeter play, he's got range as a shooter, great jumper.
And Rod Sellers at the line. Sellers, a sophomore from Florence, South Carolina. His brother Patrick played some basketball also at Central Connecticut, also here in the Hartford area. Can't get the roll, and the drought continues now for UConn.
Really having a tough time shooting the basketball.
1 for 4, Sellers at the line. After those two.
Now they rotate into a man-to-man. This is what Villanova wants to see. See, they're trying to clear it out for Grice to throw the lob over the top to him.
Boy, Walker has handled the test well from those guards of Connecticut. Distributing the ball, and there's Grice on the glass.
Tom Grice hanging around the big fella. Jim Calhoun told me, he said, Dick, he always hurts us.
Yeah, he's always played well against Connecticut, and he is one of those hot, cold type of players. He was cold against Virginia. And we got a foul away from the ball. Woodard picking it up.
Virginia did an excellent job in their game plan, and they got a masterful performance out of Crotty and Stiff.
Something we should mention tonight, Dick, because it is a Big East game. We do have 6 fouls, 6 personal fouls in this game, and there are some that believe that it will extend the length of the game. And I think there's also a feeling that it also will mean that a number of guys will automatically get fouled if they're poor foul shooting. And for poor foul shooting, Syracuse would be a great example of that.
And it also means that if you sit on a bench or you're 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th man, now you got no chance really to play because it keeps the starters on the floor a little bit longer. So it could create some morale problems as well.
Hasn't mattered for Connecticut. They have been awful at the line as well as from the floor. This drought has been around for a long, long time from the field. Out of bounds.
Tough pass to handle right there. Walker makes the tough bounce pass. Very difficult, so close to the teammate. Right now, they need a spark. The crowd's trying to get into it.
The Wildcat run 17-3 in the last 8 minutes. Smith.
That's the one guy. They got to get him involved offensively. They isolate. Smith's too good an offensive player. That's his first deuce.
His first hoop, you're right. 27-13. Under 6 minutes remaining, opening half.
And watch Villanova. They flash always somebody to the middle of the floor against the pressure. Spreading out, spacing 15 to 17 feet apart on the wings. Now they go into a stack.
Walker needs help. Dowdell comes up, and they feed Grice, and again he turns it over.
Chris Walker is not a true point guard. And if you apply a lot of pressure at times and make him pick up the dribble, he has a little problem out there at the point guard slot. Look at the intensity. Look at the emotion.
And Connecticut really attacked Maryland's deficiency being guard play in the ACC Big East Challenge. They haven't done it to that extent in this game against Walker.
Well, Villanova's a little better in guard play than Maryland, really, Tim. Walker and Woodard, and Bain gives them a handler from the wing position. They're going to swing it to Burrell for a 3.
Trying to penetrate. Not much movement inside.
No, they're very stationary. It's easy to match up.
And there's the turnover.
It's very easy to match up when a team doesn't have any movement in their half-court offense against that matchup. We use that term matchup. They simply want to find a man in the area of the floor and give the look of a man-to-man.
Here's something Calhoun wanted. Woodard being forced to bring the ball up the floor. And a turnover for Villanova. Aaron Bain last touched it, and here come the Huskies. Quinn to the baseline. Grice, a tall tower in front. Burrell from deep. And Woodard clears it for Villanova.
Villanova really keeping them off the glass, getting good rebound in position. Here's Miller now playing the point, trying to buy some time and walk around the sideline. Miller.
Last touch by Smith. That will be controlled to Villanova.
You know, when you talk about point guards, you talk about John Crotty. Now, that's a definition of a true point guard. Certainly, Gary Payton's making a big name for himself down at Oregon State, but he's a big scoring guard as well as a point guard.
It may be shock treatment time for Connecticut. Steve Peichel, who's the co-captain along with Tate George, comes into the game, and Chris Smith sits down.
Peichel, very popular player, has good range as a shooter.
And he's a hustler. I think Jim Calhoun wants more intensity. Woodard's shot won't fall. And Burrell, boy, he's been the one Husky that has been right on cue tonight.
He's really hustled. He's been scrapping. Now he could shoot the ball.
For three. With a chance to spot up, he has 9 of UConn's 16, and they are now 7 for 25 from the floor. A paltry 27%.
They want to try to get Uncle Mo on their side going into the locker room. They want to get maybe 6 points deficit. That's what Jim Calhoun's playing for. Get Uncle Mo.
Woodard. Boy, that'll take the intensity out. He hits the tray.
I'll tell you what, you can't allow him to spot up and shoot the ball.
Sophomore from Rochester, New York.
Last year had a lot of problems shooting it. Psychologically, he really got down on himself and shot in the 20 percentile. There's no way he's a 29% shooter.
Quinn. And Sellers keeps it alive over Bain. Burrell. Too strong, and there's Quinn. The iron unkind, and Grice hauls it down for Villanova.
Having a tough time on the inside. And when you're a coach on a sideline and that's beginning to happen, frustration builds and builds.
Well, as a coach, you know you're going to have one of these games, but you only hope it doesn't happen in league play.
Give it back.
Quinn over Miller. How many more chances will UConn get?
Well, he tried to make an easy play, a very difficult play. Tried to utilize the left hand, spin into the basket. I don't know, maybe John Gwynn thought you'd get 5 points for degree of difficulty. A little swimming right here.
Burrell with 9, Woodard with 8. They will wave off the hoop. A foul called by John Moreau.
Foul took place prior to the release of the basketball.
Rolly Massimino has been the maestro so far. I mean, he has pulled every string in this game, and because of that, his Wildcats have a 14-point lead.
Connecticut's coming down in a 2-on-1 right now. Gwynn kicks it out, gives it to Sellers, catches it back. Now, right now, he should take the ball to the goal, freeze it. Right now, draw 14 and dump the little pass back to Sellers. Instead, he tries to utilize the left hand, spin into the basket, and they come up empty. He gives it to Sellers. You got a slam, jam, bam. You got a score. Look at the field goal percentage. Wow.
And imagine this, Dick. Connecticut has more turnovers than they have hoops.
23% shooting tonight.
This is a team that prides itself on causing turnovers and turning them into points. This is how they've won 7 of 8 games.
You can throw the ball back there. But remember this, we have to document it, and certainly not to slight what they've done because they've played some outstanding basketball, but they really haven't played, other than Florida State and also beating Maryland, some real quality teams.
Aaron Bain picks up the foul. Could be an intentional. John Moreau on top of it. But it's 1-1. I think Jim Calhoun is arguing that point right now. He definitely extended his arms here, Dick. Take a look.
He's a fighter, Calhoun. Now there's the reach in. Now does he grab him there? Hold him back?
Yeah. I mean, it appeared as though he had that hand on the shoulder impeding his forward progress.
Jim Calhoun right on top of it. The tie is untied. The look of a fighter and a battler.
And the woes continue with the line. Cerulik on the glass.
They missed about 5 inside.
Burrell with a steal, And the foul. Taylor and Miller both in position to pick it up. Boy, Burrell just won't give up.
You just really want to play with Scott Burrell. He really plays so hard. It becomes contagious on the people around him. There's some activity inside. The ball pops loose. There's the deflection. There's Burrell. Banged on the arm. Throws the baseball 90-some miles an hour. Not you, Tom Grice. Not you. You can't throw it 90 miles an hour. No. It's Scott Burrell.
Rodney Taylor picked up the foul, his third. Now, he fouled out of the Virginia game in the ACC Big East Challenge, but remember, 5 fouls in that game. We have 6 fouls to give in Big East play this year.
And with a team with limited front court help like Villanova, certainly that rule becomes a plus. They are having a nightmare shooting the basketball.
1 of 8 from the stripe. 30-16, and the Boo Birds are out in Hartford.
7-1. They forget about that quickly, don't they, Tim? What are you going to do for me tonight?
Burrell with a steal. Heichel now protecting the ball for UConn. Cerulic on the blocks. He's the man, Burrell. And Grice hauls it down.
He's trying to carry the team. Hennefeld had an open 3, didn't look at the basket.
Well, you hear these boos, Dick, and you know, year in and year out in the Hartford Civic Center, this is a town and this is a team playing not in a college atmosphere here at the Hartford Civic Center. And I think many times it's that mentality of the fans that gives Connecticut problems when playing at home.
Well, it's like a pro atmosphere, and it's unfortunate. There's no way these kids should be booed. They're trying very hard. They're playing aggressively. The ball is just not falling down. And when that ball doesn't go in, Tim, it shows a lot of deficiencies in other areas.
They have a new facility in nearby stores. Well, they'll play 8 of their home games this year. No one's looking more forward to that than Calhoun and his team. Cerulic fighting for it with Grice, and I believe Dan picked up the foul. Dan Cerulic, the sophomore, started only 5 games last year, will be counted on this year, his second foul.
You talk about that new facility. It opens up on January 27th, and they're excited about it. They have about 8,000. It'll be a college atmosphere, and they open up with Louis Cornacecca and St. John's.
Heichel comes out of the game, and Tate George back in. And Grice, who has only 4 points but 8 rebounds at the stripe.
Well, his presence on the floor is opening it up for other people. They designed their offense to try and get attention to Grice, and it opens up for guys like Woodard and Bain and Walker to get free shots.
NFL trying to keep it alive with Dowdell, and the Dove finally clears it for UConn. Smith cross court to Burrell, and yet another turnover, the end result. Grice is on top of it, and the arrow pointing to Connecticut, so they will hold on the jump ball.
They're trying to make too many spectacular passes, passes really that aren't there in their offensive running transition game.
Jim Calhoun made the statement to me that this team that he has reminds him of some of those Northeastern teams when he had Harry Moss and also, of course, Reggie Lewis running the ball. He says he has more guys with better hands, softer hands on this team than he's ever had in Connecticut.
I'll tell you one thing, the Northeastern team is very, very quick. They can score.
Smith, well, he's definitely forcing it.
Yeah, he's struggling offensively. You know, the big problem, though, at Northeastern, you don't have to face day in and day out. Syracuse, Georgetown, St. John's. That's why you have to win a home game like this against Villanova, who's 4-3.
Well, those entries into the NCAAs Calhoun made got him this job in the Big East. And you see the time remaining. John Saunders standing by to bring us up to date at halftime. That one's lost out of bounds and will be controlled to Connecticut.
Massimino just did a war dance on the sideline. Very upset that they didn't get the last shot.
John will obviously have the latest on the Jim Valvano situation, along with all the other news of what's been going on in college basketball throughout the week and this evening. At halftime. There you see it, top 25 scorers, and a feature on Scott Burrell, the do-everything athlete playing here in Hartford.
See how quick Villanova reacts to Smith?
Smith can't get the roll. Lost out of bounds, and that's it. We're at halftime. And listen to this. Whether you're down by 15 and have a good team or not, that's not needed. These are college kids, not the Boston Celtics. And the Hartford fans need to learn that, John.
31-16 is our score, with Villanova a big lead over top of Connecticut. Connecticut coach Jim Calhoun is used to battling other coaches over top talent. But for Scott Burrell, he had to battle football coaches and Major League Baseball as well before he landed his top prize.
As a pure athlete, I started making comparisons in my mind to Dave Winfield.
The comparison I would make is Randall Cunningham.
We did a lot of Danny Ainge talk with him, and you know how Danny was a great baseball player and certainly became a great basketball player, and the analogies probably aren't that far off.
The object of this widespread praise is Connecticut freshman forward Scott Burrell. As a high school senior in Hamden, Connecticut last year, Burrell was both the Player of the Year in basketball and the Player of the Year in baseball. Last spring, he was forced to make a choice between signing a contract as a first-round draft pick of the Seattle Mariners or accepting a scholarship to Connecticut. He chose to go to school.
It's a good institution to come here, and they have a good basketball team up and coming. They're a young team this year, and I thought it's a Big East school, and it's a real good school, so that's another reason why I decided to come here.
We felt that there were certain things in life that you can't recapture. And one of those things is going to college as an 18-year-old freshman and sharing in the experience of college life.
A large part of Burrell's college life will involve Big East basketball and baseball. If desire is the key to success, Scott is on his way to the top.
I think the most amazing thing about him, and maybe it comes out of baseball, and of course when he was a young kid basketball-wise, he's a terrific competitor. We had a new player come, Dov Henfeld, who was a kid from Israel, and he just joined the team, and the first guy that Scott wanted to guard was Dov. He blocked his first 3 shots. And that may tell you something about the kind of competitor that he is.
But it was Burrell's athletic ability that drew the attention of Major League scouts and led to his being selected in the first round of the baseball draft.
What you look for in a baseball player is a great athlete, and you don't find too many of those. You don't find guys that can run and throw and hit and field and hit with power and do it with some pizzazz. Sky's the limit. I would not want to describe how good he could be because that might be limiting it.
Burrell was equally adept at football in high school. As a quarterback, he possessed all the characteristics a coach would want in his signal caller.
Threw a great deep ball, great feet, and athletic, could get out of trouble, a leader, had presence. You know, I mean, he had all the tools to be a great college quarterback, no question.
Burrell gave up football to concentrate on basketball and baseball. In this age of the two-sport athlete, does he dream of joining the likes of Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders?
I wouldn't mind that. Hopefully, would. And I wouldn't mind that. They're making a lot of money. They're healthy. They're having a fun time, and they're doing what they want to do. So I wouldn't mind if something happened like that.
Connecticut has 16 points at halftime. Scott Burrell has 9. He's playing a great game thus far, but he'll have to play better to get his team back in it. 31-16, Villanova has the lead. Rolly can put away the Rolaids. Back to Tim Brando and Dick Vitale.
Oh, John, you're lethal tonight. He'll be at that Rutgers game tomorrow. It's 31-16, and you know, Dick, this game is just as we prescribed early on. If you're a Rolly Massimino follower, get the outside points from Woodard and get a better game out of Grice, and you've got a W, or at least you're on your way to a W.
Well, I think most important was the fact they controlled tempo. They had great execution, and they had a lot of balance out of their offense. They really had balance. As we take a look now at Woodard going to square his body. Look at that great release. Great follow-through, tremendous arc, strips the net, and then we're going to take a look at Tom Grice, the 7-3, the tree inside. Now watch him work in the glass. He's going to rebound right here, and he does a great job outletting the ball. I love the way he outlets the basketball. As we take a look, now here's a look at Connecticut. Really struggling, Timmy, in their offensive set. Right now they're in a half-court offense. They try to jam the pass in. Really, it's been Brick City, USA shooting the basketball from the free throw line and from their offensive sets. And look at the percentage, 21%. You're not going to win any game shooting 21%.
Not at all. A 7 for 34, an 0 for from three-point range. Really, it's ironic. We just had a story, John Saunders, at halftime on Burrell. Without Burrell, it would really be abysmal right now for Jim Calhoun's club.
Well, the one thing you have to like about Scott Burrell, here he is coming over defensively. Look at the great legs, the excellent timing, and he hasn't stopped hustling. He's a tenacious player. He's a scrap. He runs a backdoor cut, comes up empty on a backdoor cut, kisses it on the glass. But look at the second effort. On a second effort, he converts and scores, and I really believe that Scott Burrell will be a star in Connecticut. Has 9 points out of 16.
Is he capable of helping a run, though, as we look at the statistical data, and you see again the story, the lack of shooting from the floor for UConn? My question to you, can Burrell start a run for his Huskies?
I think we're going to see a run. You and I were talking about it at halftime. Yeah. I think Connecticut is too good a basketball team to post 16 points on the board. They have too many athletes. I look for a run and getting back into this basketball game.
Well, they certainly know they're back in Big East play. Rolly Massimino is armed and dangerous with Grice and Woodard. Stay with us.
ESPN's NCAA basketball, Villanova versus Connecticut, is brought to you by Blue Diamond Growers. A can a week, that's all we ask. By the exciting, innovative, unconventional new spirit of Dodge. And by Michelob Dry, bold taste with no aftertaste. Mick Dry refreshes completely.
It hasn't been pretty, but Villanova leads it 31-16. Interestingly, both teams have more turnovers than they have field goals. That's particularly troublesome for Connecticut, a team that usually scores points off turnovers they create.
Hey, Tim, Villanova doesn't have one guy in double figures. They got great balance. 5-4, 5-2, 8-3-4. But the biggest difference they have is on the board, up 15 on the road. Woodard is scoring leader with 8, Grice with 5, Taylor with 5, Bain with 4, Dowdell with 4.
Fans are back on their feet now, hoping to get something started here in the second half for their Huskies.
Villanova really executes their half-court offense. They have excellent spacing.
That pass for Walker retrieved by Woodard. Boy, he didn't see it early, but then he got to it.
Tim, that was a set play. They call that their flare move. They released him and flared him to the baseline, and Walker knew he would be there. Great anticipation.
Another near turnover. Smith beats Cerulli.
Hey, the ball fell down finally early in the first half. That hit the back of the rim.
33-18. Connecticut getting back defensively.
Their press doesn't look quick at all like it did against Maryland.
Well, their confidence has been shaken. Villanova has rattled them in this game. At no time did Maryland make a serious push at Connecticut in the ACC Big East Challenge. And the turnover, Grice last touched it, and Cerulli will enter it for Connecticut.
I couldn't help to agree with you, Tim, more about the crowd and the environment booing. I think that's a no-no. And I say shame on you, you Connecticut fans, coming out here booing these college kids.
Tate George driving the baseline, using the glass.
That'll give them a little spark right now. Now they got to jump into their pressure. Try to create a turnover. Villanova uses the big guy to look right. There's the diagonal now. Find Bain, and they got a layup. Connecticut did a good job rotating back. Look at Calhoun stalking that sideline, trying to get them fired up.
Hey, Calhoun looked like that when he had a 30-point lead against Maryland. He's always got great intensity.
Well, he was really excited about the way the team was playing, winning 7 in a row, really showing some excellent spark, and he thought tonight they were ready to put on a really solid performance.
No matter how long you coach this game, it's so difficult to read, isn't it?
That's why I like being next to you. Here's the spark. They need a jam right here.
Burrell!
Uh-oh! Uh-oh! A little run right now. A little run. And now the crowd. Look at the fickle crowd. Now they're back cheering.
He has 11 of their 22. Scott Burrell. Boy, all over them defensively. He forced the turnover. He forced that turnover flat on his back. And Rolly Massimino, for the first time, upset.
He has to be really concerned. Maybe now the Rolades are coming out, John Saunders. Is the turnover being forced by none other than number 24, Mr. Scotty Burrell.
And he did it while on the hardwood.
Hey, you think he's getting the Rolades out now? He's calling up Lasorda. Send me some Rolades, Lasorda. score right here. Massimino's got to forget about a TV timeout and get a timeout.
Nice pass to the Dove Hinnefeld. He would have buried that one the other night. Tie ball, Tom Grice again, and there's the example that we talked about in the first half, bringing the ball down.
Connecticut's possession. I told you the other day, I don't like this rule anymore, Tim. I'm getting tired of it. I think I should jump the ball up and let the coaches have to design some strategy rather than alternate possessions.
Burrell with the left hand, too hard, and Aaron Bain gets the rebound.
Not a good shot by Scott. Trying to utilize his left hand, and he really bricked that baby. That was an all-cement special. They run that little baseline cut.
Walker out to Bain for three. Air ball, Cerulic clears.
Smith's got to give him a spark right here. This guy here has got to give him a spark. Offensive foul. Good call by Jim Howell.
Burrell right on top of it. And obviously Chris Smith picking up the foul.
Good move by Villanova stepping in and taking the charge. Look at the intensity of Taylor. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at the wacky world of coaching. Unbelievable. You got to be a wacko to coach today.
Offsides, blue team.
Wow.
That was the signal Jim was giving us.
These guys look like Mother Teresa compared to me on the sideline. I was a real Bananasville.
33-22, 3.5 minutes gone in the second half.
Connecticut's really picked up the intensity defensively.
And a foul against Hinnefeld. And Calhoun even more upset.
If you were to chart Hinnefeld for deflections, he'd be one of the real top guys on his team. And a lot of coaches now chart teams for deflections to show that they're playing aggressive basketball. Third personal not big right now because 6 is allowed in the Big East.
The Dove forces the turnover, much as he did last week. The outlet to Smith, counted and a foul.
They are back. I'd get a TO, baby, if I were Mass. Oh, there it is. Get the TO, Rolling. Here it is, deflection, up we go, and the Huskies are back. It's rocking and rolling, it's shaking and baking. They are dancing in the aisles.
Here's the run that you were anticipating, Dick.
Well, we're going to take a look right now. George with a strong drive to the basket, showing some leadership. But then here's the big play. Look at Hinnefeld. He deflects so many plays, gets it in play, and now Scotty Burrell is going to finish it. I love him. What an athlete. We talk about an athlete. We're talking a jumper, a quick player. And he possesses that. 8-2, baby, in the second half. And it's created a little bit of a stir on the Villanova sideline.
4 turnovers for the Wildcats. They've only attempted 2 shots in the first 3.5 minutes. Connecticut 6 shots and only 1 turnover, so things are turning around for Jim Calhoun.
You got to credit Calhoun, too. He's not going to let his team quit. He's such a fighter, and that really pours onto the floor.
An 8-point lead. They've cut this lead in half since the intermission.
Now they have the crowd on their side.
Bryce triple teamed. Woodard's wide open on the other end of the floor. Bryce turns it over. Nope. They're going to say it's a push. Maybe Cerulic. Number 55, guilty of the push. He was.
Aaron Bain should really look for the pass right over the top of the defense. He throws an excellent bounce pass, though. I like the way he bounces the ball into the post. A lot of guys cannot feed the post. That's a special art.
Cerulic with his third. Remember, you can have 6. This is a situation substitution being made by Calhoun as Rod Sellers comes back into the game. Number 22 in white for Connecticut.
There's a trap along the base. Good anticipation.
George with the steal.
That's what they live off. Turnovers. They're back, Timmy. Big time style. They're anticipating well. They're playing the passing lanes well. They were a step behind in that first half.
Well, the steel curtain has draped Villanova in the second half.
Villanova took that steel curtain and made it like the Berlin Wall in the first half. They took it apart.
They really did.
Right now. Oh, nice look.
To Dowdell. Blocked away. Sellers with a hand on it. Hinnefeld with the outlet.
The Huskies are running, baby.
Smith. Tate George on the glass. Knocked away by Dowdell.
Aaron Bain is a tremendous passer. He has great vision. That was a great pass he just threw to Dowdell.
33-27. 5 minutes gone in the second half. Well, it is Big East play that's gotten underway as Connecticut makes its run.
Now they'll try to hold post inside and utilize Grice as a passer.
Rolly Massimino wants to see more movement. Bain is free for three. Too strong. Woodard on the glass. That's a charge.
Offensive foul. He broke the plane of the defensive player.
Woodard's one of those players, Dick, that as good as he is, he may not know it. He's one of those guys that needs to have good things happen so he'll have the confidence on both ends of the floor.
He's from out of Rochester, New York, but at the same high school that produced Tom Sheehy, who ended up playing down in Virginia.
Nova's 20th turnover, and now you see the steals all with Connecticut. Burrell with an air ball, and the foul on Sellers coming around Dowdell.
Burrell can't believe that he missed that last wide open three in practice before the game. He hit about 6 in a row from that spot.
Jim Calhoun very close to getting a technical from Jim Burr, Dick. Rod Sellers with his second, 15 foul. Burr will light you up with a technical if you give him too much lip.
Yeah, he's not going to waste any time. Just to ask the general, Robert Montgomery Knights. He's had some dealings with him.
Miller in the paint. Too soft off the front iron, and Nadav Hennefeld with a rebound. Smith. Oh, to Burrell!
Scotty Burrell, is he coming alive? Is he showing the Big East that he can play Big East basketball? Scotty's a Skywalker. He's going to invite him into a trap.
Dowdell with a bounce pass. Grice with the ball down low, and he picks up the foul from Hennefeld.
Connecticut likes to fan the ball to the sideline. Jim Calhoun's strategy and philosophy is to try to fan it to the sideline and get the traps along the sideline area.
Fourth foul on the Dove.
Remember, 6 fouls allowed. The Dove goes to the sideline from out of Israel.
(33-29). Dowdell. Grice following.
Tom Grice with a good offensive rebound. Hanging around the basket. Converts.
You see the time remaining here in the second half. Lyman to Priest. Won't go, and Walker retrieves it for Villanova.
Priest, a scrappy, hustling player, a defensive stopper. Number 23 on the floor now. Big possession for Villanova. They scored the last time. They scored here. They quiet this group down.
Dowdell with the loose ball on the baseline. Miller out of bounds, off Lance, and it belongs to Connecticut. John Gwynn will come into the game for the Huskies.
It's amazing how personalities of teams change. As we look at John Gwynn, I saw Michigan and Duke on Saturday, and it was the same thing. Michigan up 15, and Duke finally comes from behind, takes the lead, but ultimately loses in overtime. And here's the same situation. Connecticut was non-existent in that first half.
That's what makes this game so special. Burrell driving the baseline. Great feed to Sellers.
Did you see that pass? Will somebody tell Scott Burrell this is the first Big East game he's playing in his career?
Dowdell is hurt, Dick.
Grabbing his ankle.
Yeah. It happened on the drive by Burrell that led to the pass.
Mark Dowdell had an outstanding high school career at CBBA down in South Jersey. Played with John Crotty, who stars for Virginia.
This is a youngster that means a lot to Rolly Massimino. Again, you need experience when you have a young team, and there's no question this is a young team for Rolly.
He was a highly acclaimed high school star, and they do not have much strength on their bench and depth. Here's the pass of Burrell driving the baseline. He's going to dump it off. Rice comes over.
Oh, you see
look at the pain.
Yeah.
Pain, the look on his face. Whew. I remember talking to Dickie Weiss, the fine writer from out of Philadelphia, about Dowdell when they recruited him. And at that time, he told me, he's an aggressive, good offensive rebounder and will be a factor with the Villanova Cats.
Well, remember this, he's only a sophomore, and he has been a spot starter. But of the players that Rolly Massimino has, he's the guy that did play in all of last year's games. So while he's only a sophomore, he does give you, in that type of offense that Rolly likes to run, some fluidity.
Well,
he knows where to go.
He had a lot of PT last year. Their team was 18-16, and they really were disappointed, 7-9 in the league. They lost to Michigan State in the quarterfinals of the NIT, and a lot of people had them rated in the top 15 in the nation preseason.
Well, we'll give the crowd the nod for it. Cheering for Dowdell as he limps off. Well, you hate to see that happen. You look at the fast break points in the second half. It looks more like the stats we saw coming into this game for Connecticut here in the second half.
Connecticut had 0 at the end of the first half, scores 9 in the second half.
And they've been outscored, Villanova, 16-2 inside. All the inside points now coming from the Huskies.
See how he's inviting him up the sideline? He's fanning him. Quinn, he wants him to go down the sideline. Now they rotate back in the man-to-man defensively. Quinn makes things happen defensively and offensively. They put a lot of pressure on the ball.
Look at some scores from the NBA. Sports Center with Dan Patrick and Bob Lee coming up later. Grice puts it in.
He's got the excellent touch. He's got soft hands.
9 points now and 9 rebounds for Tom Grice. Win. Those guards want to penetrate. But if they can't, and you see what happens, they can't find anyone inside in that half-court game from time to time.
Well, no one flashed to the basketball, and they had no movement. To have really a good offensive scheme, you must have movement without the ball and with and move the basketball.
Walker. Chris Walker with a crucial hoop, the sophomore from Milby High School in Houston, Texas.
Where he averaged about 30 points a game on a scholastic level.
An 8-point lead again for Villanova. Well, the Wildcats have answered the Connecticut run. UConn had cut it to 4.
See, right now, standing on offense, and you can really read what they want to do.
Woodard may have gotten away with a push. Certainly, Burrell was off balance, and that caused the turnover.
Do you notice when Connecticut is effective, it's up, up, and away, up and down the floor, not when they're in that 5-on-5 set and a half court.
By the way, as you look at the field goal shooting percentage, Connecticut stepping it up in the second half. Congratulations to you, Dick. I know you'll be in New York tomorrow. The American Sportscasters Association have honored you.
Oh,
you've been voted by your peers Sports Personality of the Year. Kurt Gowdy will give you the award. And listen, I've worked with you 5 years. I can't think of anyone more deserving.
Well, thanks a lot, Tim. Certainly that award should go to all the beautiful directors, producers, behind-the-scenes people, and play-by-play people. Because believe me, this country's in trouble. If I can get an award, I can't speak English.
Well, my idol will be giving you the award. I named my little brother after Kurt Gowdy. He's a great man.
Well, I'm really
great basketball man, too.
I'm a nervous wreck. You should have brought that up to me. Thanks a lot. Black tie affair? Are you kidding? All right, here, let's watch some basketball right here.
Miller looking down low. Woodard, right on cue with the tray. Greg Woodard, he now has 13.
Well, they designed that during their timeout. They want to get the ball to the guy that can stroke it, and he's wide open for the 3.
Fought for, Sellers keeping it alive. It's a scrum, and it goes back to Nova, and Calhoun can't believe it.
It's very important for Rolly Massimino to make this a 5-on-5 basketball game. If it's a 5-on-5, he's going to have a nice trip back to Philadelphia. If it gets into the numbers game and utilizing the whole court, Connecticut could come out and pull this and sneak this W after being down by 15.
Tom Grice.
Let him handle the rock.
Yeah,
look at me. Look at me. I'm like, hey, get where you belong, 7-3. Go inside. Turnover City. He tried to make like Ralph Sampson.
Yeah, but you liked it early.
Yeah, I did like it. See the big tree bouncing that hoop.
Scoring leaders, Woodard and Burrell. They have been throughout this game. And there's Smith for 3. Retrieved by Burrell, out of bounds to Villanova.
Chris Smith really having a tough night offensively.
The Wildcats have answered Jim Calhoun's club's run. A 7-point spurt now for Villanova. And Rolly Massimino has seen his team come through when challenged.
I can feel for Calhoun right now. I know he's pleading and begging, and he knows his team's has much better ability than what they've demonstrated here. Look at Woodard taking the ball to the basket.
He's free, and he feels it again.
He's got that great release. Excellent inside-outside action. Ball goes to Grice. Price doesn't get enough credit for being a solid passer.
And the Nova lead back out to 13.
5-on-5, and this is where they've been struggling.
Cerulic with the fadeaway.
Good little turnaround baseline shot. He's a much improved player from what we saw last year, Cerulic.
44-33. Villanova has elevated this lead back to 11. It's such a kick out of the animation on the Rolly Massimino sidelines. Steve Pannone and Tommy Massimino are as active over there as Massimino.
It looks like a board of directors with all those coaches.
Miller is loose.
He's a winner. Miller is a winner, and so is his brother when they get him back, David Miller.
46-33. Out of bounds, it still belongs to Connecticut. And Nadav Hannafelt will come in for Connecticut along with John Quinn. Well, the Wildcats are on a little bit of a roll right now. Villanova has made their last 5 shots from the floor.
Again, you credit that to Rolly Massimino. Settles his team down, gets him to have some poise offensively. Good timeout, get the ball to Woodard, and he delivers the 3. That was a big possession.
Under 9 minutes to play.
Matchup defense, trying to get some movement. They want to overload with Gwynn on a wing. There he is.
Gwynn drives the baseline. Too soft. Aaron Bain elects to let it go out. And a nice judgment call by that youngster that has meant so much early on to this team. Just a freshman from Clifton, Virginia. 46-33. That's the time remaining in the second half. Big East play officially underway on ESPN. Tim Brando with Dick Vitale. We're happy you joined us.
But does he throw the excellent bounce pass?
Taylor lost it. Boy, Woodard getting all the loose balls right now. And a foul.
I think I got a jump ball call there.
Yep. Yeah, an overrule has just occurred. John Moreau, I think, now has decided that it is a jump ball. The arrow pointing with Villanova, so they will hold on to it. Jim Howell had given the indication of a foul a bit earlier.
See the little bounce pass, and they go to inside-outside action.
Good pass to
nice.
Bain. He took steps.
Jimmy Burr right on a call. That's called the dive move. You just dive right down the gut of the defense. Look at Massimino. Look at him.
Keep those hands up. Those are always the instructions when sending this team back defensively. Burrell for 3. Hannafelt keeping it alive. Taylor was out of bounds, and Connecticut holds on.
Hannafelt's always around the basketball. 21 years of age, came from Israel, played for their national team.
Crowd favorite here already, Dick. Fans here loving. Well, UConn has just been terrible from three-point range. This is a club that is 1 for 13 from three-point land in this game.
Cerulic spots up really well, sees the opening in the zone, flashes to it, catches, turns, and squares his body. Look, Rice, he's not going to dribble it this time. He says, no, 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 no. Little Woodard, he's playing with a lot more confidence than he did last year.
Chris Walker not in the game, but Villanova's offense taking care of itself. There's not a true point guard on the floor for Villanova right now. Bain's shot won't go. Cerulic clears.
Bain tried to utilize his left hand, a little left hand jump hook in the lane. Cerulic wide open at the foul line.
Quinn driving, he has a speed advantage. Kept alive by Cerulic, and the foul.
I like this guy, Miller. He knows how to win. You just watch him in practice, and he has all the instincts of a winner. Played at Bridgewater, did a solid job on a scholastic level. Gave him some quality time, some good QT.
And you see Woodard now with his 3rd foul, and Walker coming back into the game for him.
You mentioned the Big East, and we talked about it on the top of the show about how important these games become for the Villanovas and Connecticut's. When you look at the heavyweights, he misses the free throw, and you think of Georgetown and Syracuse, I think it's a 2-man race. Possibly St. John's at home, when they get Jason Williams back, could cause some problems. Pittsburgh really hurts without Sean Miller. That's a tough, tough loss. And Providence, good backcourt, questionable up front.
NFL did a nice job keeping it alive, so Connecticut still has a chance, and Smith converts.
Smith has great scoring ability, and Seton Hall, they may be better than people believe, even though losing all those people with Terry DeHere and Ollie Taylor.
And you'll see them against Rutgers tomorrow night on ESPN, preceding that Dandy coming from Barnhill Arena, Missouri and Arkansas.
That is going to be one heck of a game down in Arkansas, Missouri. So is Seton. Oh, he's wide open. He usually drills that baby. Foul on Taylor, no doubt about it.
Rodney Taylor with the foul for Nova, his fourth. And even though we have the 6th foul rule being employed for the first time, he'll have to be concerned as he goes to the bench, although his team is up by 9.
Watch the drive along the baseline. There's the deflection, the ball's drilled. And there's Lance Miller. He's really produced off that sideline, the young freshman.
The 4 freshmen, they don't play Vegas. Remember the group, the 4 freshmen? Aaron Bain, Lance Miller, Calvin Bird, James Bryson. And coming into this game, they were worth 36% of Rollie Massimino's offense. And the future is bright for Villanova.
He played at Bridgewater Raritan West High School and really had an outstanding career there for Coach Stapleton.
Smith puts it in.
Where have you been, Chris Smith?
9 points now for the sophomore from nearby Bridgeport, Connecticut.
He was player of the year in high school, one of 3 in a row that has decided to stay home. Didn't go away, a la Mike Jaminski and Presley and a bunch of other Connecticut kids we talked about earlier who left the state.
Burrell got a hand on it.
Give it up. Give it up.
Wynn is with him. Oh, he tried to solo, but there's Cerulic to follow. Burrell again. Look out, he'll never stop. Bryce rejects him. And now Smith follows, and the foul against Aaron Bain.
Scotty Burrell made a big mistake, Tim, coming down to transition. If he gives the rock up and gets it back, he's got a slam jam man. This guy is working overtime on that sideline. Scott Burrell right now, look at Quinn calling for it. He's like, give it to me and I'll give it back to you. And he tries to take it solo, as you said, and he bricks it. Cerulic keeps his feet on the ground. There's the miss. Now Burrell's going to come back up.
Cerulic's had a much better second half, Dick.
Yeah, he's a very active player. Last year, he played with no confidence whatsoever. Didn't get a whole lot of playing time, in his fairness to him.
10 points now for Smith. Calhoun likes seeing that, but a paltry 4 for 13 from the floor, and this is a player that they need a lot from the floor as well as at the line, where he's 92% coming in.
As poorly as they have shot, they are only down 6 with 5 minutes to go. Incredible. One hot spurt, and they could steal this game, and I call it a steal the way they were playing.
It won't fall off the baseline, and Cerulic, along with Burrell, in position to pick up the foul. I believe Scotty got this one. Tom Grice with his 10th rebound. What a difference a game makes for the 7-3 center for Villanova.
Well, he looks like he's a little bit more active today than he was against Virginia. And I really credit a lot of that to Terry Holland and his game plan. He really, I thought, did a tremendous job as an architect building a defense for Grice.
Grice at the line.
That was a big possession. Now you're looking at a 4-point swing possibly from 4 down to be an 8 down with 5 on the clock, 5:39.
77% at the line for Tom. He's a good free throw shooter.
Worked really hard this summer. Worked out with Mark Plansky. He was his guru. Rollie Massimino said Plansky put him through the test mill, and he did. He had him in a weight room, had him running sprints.
Well, you point back to Villanova's problems a year ago. The player they may have most missed was Plansky.
Plansky gave him a good shooter from outside and was like a leader.
48-40. 5.5 remaining from the Hartford Civic Center. Cerulic looking down low. For Tate George, out of bounds to Villanova.
There goes that execution again we keep talking about. Offensive efficiency out of your half-court game. If you were to chart Connecticut, it would be very poor. If you had to grade them on their half-court execution, they'd be about a D right now. And I might be giving them being very kind, passing them.
NFL picks up the foul. Walker, this youngster has stood the test in this game. You figure going up against a guard-heavy club, they would test him. And in fact, this Villanova team, even with Walker on the bench, the offense itself, the system, the scheme, has really taken care of itself.
I think that's such a tough adjustment to make, to go from being a scoring guard and become the guy that's got to run your offense and to get people involved offensively. It's like asking Robert Merrill to go down and do a rock concert and replace Springsteen, or vice versa.
George, the penetration Burrell passed up a shot that he would normally take. And a foul, a hand check against Walker.
Villanova's done a great job in this game controlling tempo, keeping the score where they want the score. He's a mess. Look, get back on the floor. Just win. Just win. That's all I want you to do. Let's go back to Villanova with the W. Little Danny DeVito working the sideline.
Good pass and a foul on Miller.
Well, that shouldn't happen. That's a breakdown by Miller again, not seeing ball and man.
Second foul on Lance Miller. And that'll put Burrell to the line.
Villanova has signed a 6'11 player by the name of Anthony Pell from out of Adelaide Stevenson High School in New York, who they feel can block shots, led his high school team to 2 PSAL championships in New York, trying to get a third this year.
Burrell 0 for 4 at the line tonight.
There's no way he should be 0 for 4 on the line with his rotation and touch.
Well, it hasn't been the usual night for Connecticut offensively all the way across the board, Dick.
He says, please don't show that 1 for 5.
65% on the year. He makes both of those, and it's a 6-point game with just under 5 to play. In the Virginia game, we said, oh, anticipate the 60s. Well, that's exactly what Massimino's going to get, win or lose tonight. A game in the 60s, if that.
Well, he lost last year here at the buzzer by Murray Williams going the length of the court in a controversial goal.
There's a foul on Burrell. He had Taylor by the arm.
Villanova trying to set up a little two-man game now from the post out to the wing. This guy's a master usually late in the game. If you check out his career, is he a scrapper fighter? Yeah. I mean, you just got to love wanting to play for him. He puts his whole heart and soul, every emotion, every passion into the game.
Dick, he was not as publicly adamant as John Thompson or Dean Smith about the ACC Big East Challenge, but he had me as his guest on his radio show earlier this week. I could tell he was a little disturbed that that game was there because now it put him in a situation where he had to have a win, not necessarily for the Big East, but because he wants to stay off the bubble by the month of March.
Was it after he lost to Virginia?
Yes.
Or was it before?
No, it was after.
Thank you.
Taylor hits them both.
Taylor's limping a little bit on his foot. He's had a history of foot problems his first 2 years.
Good pass to Cerulic from Smith. And the foul against Taylor.
Cerulic's one of those kids that gives you everything he has.
Rodney Taylor 1 away from elimination in the Big East. So he would have been, yeah, he'll be the answer to a trivia question. He'll be the first 5-foul guy to remain in a game in Big East play.
There's Smith with the backdoor pass, and there's Taylor with the foul. That would have been number 5. He would have been on the sideline. Instead, he now gets a chance to get some PT. And that's a big break because they needed Taylor on the floor.
Cerulic at the line. 8 points tonight. Most of his productivity in the second half.
Both big guys have excellent touch when you talk about Bryce and Cerulic.
There it is.
Little Rodney, he knows he would have been out of the game, but now with the 6-foul rule, he gets a chance to play.
Years from now, he'll be able to tell his kids and grandkids, I played with 5 fouls for the first time in my league. 50-44, 4:28 and counting.
St. George trying to take him to a trapping area. Remember, Miller's not a true point guard, handling the ball. Now here comes Walker back out. Another guy with scoring ability.
Bryce flashing to the blocks.
Look opposite. That's where you want to look, opposite. When a postman catches the ball inside and draws 2 or 3 people, he's got to look to the other side of the floor, to the weak side of the floor.
Roley wants a stack, and he gets it.
Well, he runs a 1-4 set. He starts out of a 1-4. Little pinch down, now they'll try to enter to the box. Good defense.
Clock down to 4, and they air it out. Controlled by who else? Scott Burrell. His 8th rebound of the game. George to Smith. Burrell with Taylor, and Rodney wins that battle.
And Rolly Massimino's got to like the 6-foul rule because they don't have that rebound if Mr. Taylor's sitting on the sideline.
Each trip down, he wants to use some clock as well.
Well, I was going to say the one positive out of the last possession wasn't the shot he wanted, but he used the clock for 45.
Taylor, nice head fake, and he puts it in.
There's another example of Taylor again making a positive contribution.
He has 9 in the game. Burrell for 3.
He was sticking that trifecta all day.
Timeout,
At
Jim
practice.
Calhoun. A 5-point Villanova lead. Storyline, Hartford, Connecticut. Villanova 11 for 14 from the line. They've been getting there far too often for Connecticut. Woodard has 15. Burrell with 9 of his 18 points in the second half, carrying Connecticut. And the backcourt woes for a backcourt-heavy team. George and Smith have not played well for Jim Calhoun.
They really have not performed up to their potential. Also, the free throw line has been disaster for Connecticut, 7 for 17.
Almost the 5-second call. Taylor needs some help.
See how they post Grice up really well coached. Grice came to the open area, used his big size, caught the ball, looked opposite.
52-47 Villanova.
Oh, Grice was wide open, they missed him. Walker missed him.
Huge defensive trip for Connecticut, Dick.
Huge offensive trip, I really believe, for Villanova.
You see the shot clock, and they have been utilizing it the last 2 trips down the floor. Miller drives the baseline.
Nice slashing move. He's a driver. He drives, finds the angle.
George running right into that tower. Tom Grice.
Had a good play by George, the leader. Really forced that shot.
Yeah, he's the senior from Newark, and you don't want that late in a game. And a foul. Sellers and/or Burrell picking it up. Scott Burrell gets it. That's his fourth.
Rowley's usually a master at the end of the game. If you were to check his career, look at him right there, designing, chewing on that gum, working on it. But if you were to check his career at Villanova, the number of games late in the game, think about the great win he had over Illinois in the NCAA several years ago. And who can ever forget 1985?
Had one against North Carolina in NCAA play. We're talking about, oh, they're the crunch busters. I knew we were headed this way, weren't we?
Well, I really believe that these guys really do a great job in the last 4 minutes of a game. I think Massimino, Smith, Knight, Valvano, Krzyzewski, you can make a case also for a guy like Lute Olson. I could name a number of other guys, but I think those 5, if I were right now, I had a choice. I'd want one of those 5 late in the game with a lead or to score tied in the last 4 minutes, or even behind by 2 or 3.
Smith, Chris Smith with a much-needed hoop, and Connecticut uses yet another timeout. They'll have 2 remaining with 1:56 left. It's not over. The Cats do have the lead, though. 56-49. Tim Brando with Dick Vitale. Villanova leading by 7. You see the time remaining. Timeouts become so important, and Connecticut has 2 remaining. That's an ample number if they can make good use of their time with the ball. Villanova, the last 2 trips down the floor, Dick, have absorbed 40 seconds off the 45-second shot clock.
They've done a great job handling that shot clock. There's the Hankies. Promo tomorrow, Seton Hall. The Pirates, my alma mater, goes to Rutgers. They're fired up at Rutgers. I spoke at a banquet there last month, and I know they're looking forward to this big game with Seton Hall.
And then at 9:30, Arkansas to take on Missouri. Bob Carpenter and Dan Bonner will be there, and that'll be a wild one. 2 top teams from the Big 8 and the Southwest Conference.
Norm Stewart's got an outstanding team. Doug Smith's a versatile player. Peeler's got great legs. And Arkansas's got a host of athletes.
Yeah, they got a kid by the name of Lindsey Howell that played at San Jacinto. Watch out for him.
Ron Urey's back also from out of Memphis, Tennessee.
1:47 remaining here, and again, Villanova using that clock.
Now the officials got to watch out for the premeditated foul in terms of the intentional. Are they deliberately trying to stop the clock or playing the ball?
Walker feeding out to Grice, and they're obviously using clock.
See how they use the corners, they spread out.
Timeout by Villanova. Rolly Massimino with 18 seconds remaining on the clock elects to call the timeout.
They go to a spread offense. They put 2 guys in the 4 corners, 2 guys up on top, and then they have Walker in the center. They try to spread the floor, try to really get in situations where they have excellent spacing so you can't double team the ball.
You know, it's December, Dick, and I know we oftentimes talk about how important games are, and sometimes fans, I believe, wonder how in the world could we be making that statement? But consider this. Providence under Rick Barnes started so quickly last year. Had that great run in November, December, early January. They closed out 6-10, but their record was good enough to make the NCAA tournament, and that has to be something going through the mind of Jim Calhoun and Rolly Massimino, 2 guys that were on the bubble a year ago and didn't get there.
both these clubs will have a sufficient amount of wins outside the conference, so every conference win becomes really big, especially when you talk about postseason play. Personally, I don't believe any team that's under 500 in their league should be in the NCAA big dance and party. As we look right here at the three-point field goal leaders, Smith and Burrell, 42 and 41%. I think you should be at least in the upper division, the first division, and better than 500 in your league before eligible, rather than deny a chance to some team that's had a great year.
Connecticut will need those threes when they get the ball back, but that's the problem. They don't have it right now. They may
get it
have
right
it
there.
now. They do. Sellers with the steal and Woodard the foul. Well, Rowley may be thinking about that timeout now because it's so oftentimes so difficult just to enter the ball into the front court.
They deflect the ball. Sellers now goes to the free throw line. The clock stops. Not really a good pass, but he flips it up. There's the deflection. Here comes Sellers. There's the bump by Woodard. He converts these two. You got it down to 5. You're looking at 2 possessions, and you can win this game with the three-point shot.
It won't drop, and Miller claims it for Villanova.
That's been the story for Connecticut all night on that free throw line. Really struggling.
Sellers 1 for 5 after that miss.
Now watch him try to spread the court. Get away from the potential double team. Oh, he stripped him.
Oh, Burrell again. Walker, nice job. Good recovery. And he finds Grice. And Grice keeps
He should bring it out. He should bring it out. He should bring the ball out and use the clock.
Well, they pick up the foul down on the baseline. And we now have under a minute remaining. And Sellers picks up the foul.
Burrell almost stripped. He almost had that steal back here on Walker. But look at him with the quick hands. He deflects it. Now he's a little slow getting to the ball. I'll tell you what, Scotty Burrell can play for me any day of the week. Nice job by Walker to get out of that tough situation.
Now Grice, who has 11 points and 13 rebounds at the stripe. You see the time remaining. They keep it intense here because there are some NBA games that are played. Boston will play a few games. 57.6 seconds remaining.
11 points, 13 rebounds. Hey, he's 7'3". I got a call the other day from a coach at Hardin-Simmons. Really great guy, Dennis Harp. He says, Dick, I got a 7'6" kid, and they're doing away with basketball here in a Division I level. He's eligible to go anywhere, and immediately, he says, please tell some coaches to call because he has a lot of potential. Hey, remember, his name is Mike Lanier, 7'6", South Hardin-Simmons. He'll be eligible. Look at that drive by Gwynn.
And quickly the timeout called by Calhoun. Now, 7 seconds elapsed off the clock from the time Grice missed that free throw. So again, a 6-point game, 50 seconds left. That's 2 3-point possessions for a team that has had its problems from 3-point range tonight.
Well, what's going to happen right now is they're going to go to their trap, try to get the deflection, try to get the steal. Don't get the steal, they're going to put them on a free throw line. Calhoun has to be concerned whether or not they intentionally foul, because remember, that means 2 shots plus the ball.
Coming up on Thursday night here on ESPN, a veritable plethora of college basketball. A triple hitter, Nebraska and Creighton. That'll be followed at 9 p.m. by Tulsa and Kansas State. And then we'll have Idaho and Washington State immediately following SportsCenter, which will be coming your way at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. All of that on Thursday night as college basketball is here in the month of December. It has begun in earnest. By the way, the ACC Big East Challenge that we enjoyed working on so much last week, very well received, and you really sense that basketball in December is becoming more important.
Well, quality matchups, just like Oklahoma beating UNLV. I know the kids at Oklahoma have to feel like $1 million, their fans, because that's a real impressive, good win, rather than beating the likes of Angelo State, where I said, shame on you, Tubbs, booking games like that. It's unfair for those kids at Angelo State to be humiliated and ridiculed and taken apart.
Here we go, 50 seconds left. Here comes the Connecticut pressure.
See that? I gotta watch. You gotta stay away from the intentional foul. Oh, that's it. Good trail man.
Smith picks up the foul against Lance Miller. Not a bad decision. Look at that. Imagine this. John Gwynn's last hoop is the only score coming from the Connecticut Pine all night. And that is amazing.
That is really strange when you think about Hennefeld coming off the bench and guys like Gwynn.
Depth was supposedly on Connecticut's side, particularly in the backcourt. Miller, a 69% free throw shooter, drops that one through.
No fouls. He's telling them no fouls, no fouls. They worked so hard today at their shoot-around and breaking down all the strategy and all the strategic things that they want to do. Hey, I have a tough time with 2 syllables.
Now Smith needs to launch it in a hurry and does.
It's all over. It's done, finished. Now, is that premeditated? Is that an intentional foul?
Cerulic picking it up. And no, it's 1-1.
They have to really redefine the terminology in the rule book concerning the intentional foul.
In case you just joined us, it's been a tale of 2 halves. All Villanova in the first half. Connecticut with the run we anticipated to start the second half. Neither team playing as well as they can, though Villanova staying pretty much to their game plan, and that game plan has been the difference.
Well, basically the execution on the free throw line late in the game, too, for Villanova has been a difference. Connecticut has shot so poorly on that free throw line.
A 9-point game. They need 3 3-point conversions offensively. Cerulic out to the line, spotting up, and he drops it.
Look at a big fella shooting the 3.
They still have a timeout remaining. They do not utilize it here, and they get the foul against Taylor.
Are you going to tell me that's not a premeditated, intentional foul that we witnessed in that corner? I know it's a judgment for the official, but the book specifically says, I'm going to get it out and read it for you. It says specifically, if it's premeditated to stop the clock, the official must blow the whistle in point of emphasis this year. Now you tell me, now you decide if he's not trying to deliberately stop this clock. Now you watch here to reach in, and the bumps, and the bruises.
Burrell, by the way, fouling out with 6, and he now will become the answer to a trivia question. The first Big East player to foul out with 6 personal fouls. But a good night for Scott. He carried Connecticut, 18 points and 8 rebounds.
I'd give him an A+ for his effort here tonight. Burrell came out, fired up, played very hard.
Taylor at the line.
We just praise him for the way they've been shooting free throws, and he bricks that one.
They need 2 quick threes. They wanted a foul, did not get it. Hinnefeld can shoot from deep, and he spots up. There it is. Oh, Nadav knocks it down, and the youngster from the Israeli national team has come to Yankee country and given his team a break.
Calhoun says, where have you been, Nadav, tonight?
His first points of the game, and it comes with 9.2 seconds remaining. A 3-point game. Watch Cerulic find him, Dick.
Cerulic with the pass out to the Dove. He knows where the line is. Squares his body, and the Dove tickles the twine. And there's still a little faint hope here.
Wait a minute. Didn't you tell us a moment ago it was over?
I thought it was 9 points. I guess that's the one great thing. You know, initially I was anti the 3-point shot, the distance. But when you see the excitement, it starts to won me over. And that right here is another example of where they have a chance. They have a chance, an outside chance to still steal this game. Now it's a question of making free throws.
Taylor's obviously the one you'd like to foul, but you know that Rowley knows that, so he's going to make certain that Woodard has the ball.
I think right now when you look at who to foul, so much really gets down to performance late in the game. Some guys shoot so much better, like Ramil Robinson, for example, in Michigan. Those statistics sometimes are meaningless. I think you want to put Miller on a free throw line.
No timeouts remaining for UConn, so they must get the turnover and the hoop.
I think you want to put the freshman on a free throw line.
They're on their feet. Could it be a foul? Yes.
Tom Moreau's got a hold. That's an intentional.
Moreau's got the foul. Quinn involved. No, it is 1-1. And now a bit of debris being thrown out onto the floor. We don't need that.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a break right now for Connecticut because he misses this. They got a legitimate chance with 9 seconds to send this to OT.
And you could tell that was designed. Cerulic coming back into the game now. Peichel also in. Sellers goes out. And Villanova will send everybody back defensively. That means if he misses, if Woodard misses, they can get the ball up the floor.
Woodard's got really good touch. Got excellent release, good follow through. Both these coaches working those TOs, baby.
Villanova taking one here.
Connecticut really showed a lot of guts to make this a game. They were down 9. It looked like lights were out. They hung in there, got 2 threes. And I think, again, it's a reflection. Both these coaches, well, you're not going to coach in the Big East, the Big Ten, the ACC, that kind of a level and not be a scrapper, a fighter to be able to survive because it's so competitive every time you take the floor.
Calhoun now in his 18th year in coaching, 4th year at Connecticut. And Massimino, of course, with a masterful job done in his 17 years at Villanova. And a record that is truly outstanding in postseason play, never having lost an NCAA first-round game. And we talked about Greg Woodard at the beginning of tonight's game. He would be important along with Grice. Certainly offensively, 3 for 5 from three-point range. That alone is enough. He did have 16 points. Coming off a career high he had in his last performance, 17 points in that Virginia game. And frankly, he should have had the ball more against the Cavaliers.
Well, this should do a lot for his confidence. Back-to-back games, came out and produced. I think the one thing is they have to find a way to get him more shots. He's too good a shooter and doesn't shoot the ball enough.
Boy, just add to that statistic, 14 out of 16 for the line.
Now they fall back straight into the zone.
Quinn will try for 3. And that should do it. That'll get the foul against Cerulic. He, along with Taylor, going for the ball, and I think Rodney's holding his knee. He is.
I thought he was limping earlier in the game.
Well, the last thing Roley wanted to see was one of his players get injured at this time in the game. Pretty much sewn up at this point.
Already that 6-foul rule has played a big part in the Big East because today I don't believe Villanova hangs on to win this game if Rodney Taylor goes to the sideline with 5 when he had the 5th earlier tonight.
And again, I think the point that you've been making all year as we take a look at the injury to Taylor. So really just going after him. He has to pick up the foul. You want to stop the clock in this situation. And he just turned that knee over. But the point you made about the 6-foul rule, Dick, and I think it's justified. Both the Big East and the Southeastern Conference that are utilizing this will have to make a major adjustment from a coaching standpoint on how aggressive their players can be once they get into tournament play.
Yeah, that's the thing that I have really a problem with. He looks in tremendous pain right there, Tim. He's had back problems. He's had some problems with his feet early in his career. There's Rodney Taylor catching the ball, and they're going to attack him. Cerulic makes the contact.
See, that's
down. Now, did they call that intentional?
No.
They didn't call that intentional?
No.
They didn't call that intentional?
Well, he was going for the ball. And
Going
he had
for
to
the ball.
foul. Well, that's
you want me to get the book out?
No.
I'm going to get the book out right now.
I don't want to debate that now.
I
don't want to debate that now. But the point is, this youngster's hurt. But again, the fact of the matter is, until an official is bold enough to make that call, Dick, regardless of whether it's in the book, no one else is going to call it. Somebody's got to make a statement.
Somebody's got to really make a statement. If that's not premeditated to stop the clock, Ed Stites, then I have never seen a foul. I mean, that's ludicrous and absurd to have that term in the book, premeditated to stop the clock when the kid is mugged like he was right there in that situation.
Well, our best wishes to Rodney Taylor, senior from Columbia, South Carolina. Not putting any weight at all on that left knee as Miller and Grice taking to the sidelines. Well, Villanova will get a hard-earned Big East victory, but they have been injury-plagued. Both the backcourt already lacking depth, and now you lose Taylor. Grice really has no help.
Well, they have 2 players out with stress fractures, 2 with fibulas, 2 with tibulas. It's unbelievable. It's got 4 players that are really on the sideline. They thought Lloyd Munford really was going to help them at that point guard position. It looks like he'll be out all year.
Again, a reminder, Seton Hall and Rutgers tomorrow night. PJ against Bob Winslow. Good coaching matchup. And then Missouri taking on Arkansas. Good doubleheader of college basketball on ESPN. Smith for 3, and that does it. The Wildcats of Villanova get the victory, 64-57. Jim Calhoun's club with a 7-game win streak coming to a halt, and Massimino 5-3 overall, but more importantly, 1-0 in Big East play. Let's get to